All right, we're live. Hi, everyone. We're going to wait just a minute to allow more people to come on. And if you are there, feel free to say hello in the chat and let us know that you're with us. So far, we've got about 15% of you have arrived. So we're taking another couple seconds. Hi, James. Hi, Tom. Hi, John. Hi, Melodia. Michael. Karthik, Kathy. Good to see you all here. Hi, Steve. Welcome. Yeah. Good to have everyone here.
Gazing into her eyes, you can see, just in the way that she's looking at you, her body letting go. You see the sweat glistening off her skin, her back arched, her eyes starting to tilt towards the back of her head. She's looking at you deep in your eyes. Just see that moment. She's given herself to you in full sexual surrender. Would you like to have more experiences like that in your life?
I sure would.
That's true. I don't hear you.
I'm speaking.
We're good.
Yeah? Okay, good. Great. Well, so hello again. We are Dustin and Triambika, and we both work with men and couples in around three main areas with men. Both, all three are the deep masculine empowerment, the sexual self-mastery, and also understanding and gratifying women. And we both do this in our own individual and unique, wild and wonderful ways. We do this through coaching, through teaching, through guiding, through mentoring. And this is what our whole life is really about, like all the time. Before we get too far, I want to acknowledge our assistant, Julie, who's here with us. You'll see her face down in the corner. She's not going to be saying anything tonight, but she's helping us make sure that everything is running smoothly so that we can have the most awesome webinar possible.
And, of course, we want to acknowledge all of you. And thank you for being on this webinar. It takes a special man who deeply desires to grow and better himself. I also noted that some of you mentioned an echo. If that continues, please do let us know. I'm going to move in and out of mutes to try to take care of that.
Oh, good to know. Yeah. So thank you for giving us an opportunity to contribute to you. And while this webinar is primarily meant for men, I also want to acknowledge that there are many women in the room, and so I want to acknowledge all of you women who are also here listening. Thank you.
So we're here with you all tonight for two reasons. First, of course, to provide you with some great insights to really support you on your journey in the arena of sexuality, your relationships to yourself, your relationships to women. And second, to give you a chance to really learn more about us and what we do. And so towards the end, we'll be letting you know more about how you can have more of this.
Yeah. So the focus tonight is on one aspect of gratifying women. However, it's such an important topic for so many men and women because creating sexual trust is so much more than an ego boost. It's about having a heroic impact on your woman and essentially leaving her better than you found her. When you become masterful at creating sexual trust, you create a healthy, life-affirming experience that is essential to every human life, right? We need to experience trust in order to feel safe. And of course, not to mention, every man desires more and better sex and to feel more confident in the bedroom and to know that he's the best lover that she's ever had, right? And so when a woman gets to experience more trust with you, she's able to drop into her ease and open, which naturally allows you to feel more personal power, less self-doubt, and have more self-confidence. And of course, this impact is felt in all areas of your relationship. It's felt in all areas of your life, and even this impact is felt in the world itself. So, you know, us being here tonight, you know, just to kind of put in place that this era that we are living in is really all about working towards better and higher quality of life. So bettering yourself as a lover only adds to the richness and the sweetness of a life well lived. So we really want to congratulate you for joining us tonight.
So I want you to take a moment to really ask yourself, why are you here? You know, you took the time to register for this webinar. You set aside these 90 minutes of time. You could be doing anything during this time, but you're here. Really take a moment to check back in with yourself and really sink into why. Why are you here? What's going on in your life? What do you really want? Take a moment to really sink into that.
And feel free to add anything that pops in for you in the chat box.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So giving you a moment to sink into your reason for joining us, I'd like to take a moment to tell you a little bit about ourselves. Hopefully that's okay with you. So I have, you know, it's such a privilege that I get to coach extraordinary men, extraordinary women to have more freedom, more connected and satisfying sex, and to have better relationships overall. And I've been doing some version of this for over 23 years. Unfortunately, in the early years of my life, in the early years of my personal sexual life, things weren't quite as connected and conscious as they are now. In fact, the people that I engaged with and myself were mostly coming from a really unconscious, disconnected place. And what ended up happening is it caused a lot of damage. It caused me to shut down sexually. It caused me to feel very disempowered and shameful and insecure. And so this was the result of engaging intimately and sexually in ways that were not conscious, that were not held in a sacred light. So I am very familiar with what it's like to not have sexual trust. I'm very familiar with what that feels like in my body and what that does to me sexually. And I have to say, just it feels terrible. And so it wasn't really until I began studying conscious sexuality that I got to really heal my own wounds and began to grow and release shame and guilt around my sexuality. And I began to engage with, of course, with men who were more connected, who were more conscious and willing to be present with me. And this just changed everything for me. And since then, I have worked with hundreds of men in my career, and it's been wonderful to experience them growing and finding out the difference that it makes for them to lean into this edge and become better men overall. Um, I have to say I love men. Like, I totally love men, in all of their facets. And I've discovered that a lot of men out there have a big disconnect between their heart and their sexual center. It's like it's something that sort of got cut off at the path somewhere along the way. And when I began to understand how potent and valiant a man can be when his sexual desire and his heart and his presence and his mind are all working in unison, I thought, wow, this is exactly what the world needs. And that's what I want for all of you. So thank you for letting me share a little bit of my story with you. I'd love to pass it to Destin now to hear a little bit about your story.
Yeah. Thank you. It's always, though Triamaka and I have been in each other's lives for almost a decade now, wow. And I still love hearing her story, because every time I get little extra bits of it. Like her, I've been doing this work for quite a long time, maybe 19 years myself. And I'm so blessed. I'm so incredibly blessed to be doing what I love, where I feel a sense of passion in my life, that I get to bring that passion to my relationships as well. And one thing though is it wasn't always this way, I grew up in a broken home. I grew up with a really unhealthy models of relating, and at a household where there was just a constant war zone. And so it's try as I might, this worked its way into my unconscious and worked its way into my own relationships for years. And when I fell in love for the first time in my life, it was like getting hit by a truck. It was like suddenly, whoa! I had nothing to hold on to. There was nothing I could relate this to. It was so incredibly different from the model that I knew, and every bit of me was just like, how do I have more of this? But these old wounds, these childhood wounds, kept working their way into the relationship and showing up in different ways. And so it wasn't until I started really, again, also diving into Tantra, doing a lot of my own deep self-work, diving into my own spirituality and expanding my consciousness and exploring all these different aspects of how women work, understanding who these fascinating, mysterious creatures are, and what it is that they're really wanting and desiring, that over time I started finding, wow, I'm really finding some answers here. And by putting my focus there for such a long period of time, by investing in this area of my life with my time, my energy, and my resources to work with incredible masters and leaders and pioneers in these realms over many years, guess what? I learned a lot. I grew a lot, and now I find myself being a teacher and guide for others, literally having had thousands of men that I've worked with. And now we're here. I'm in the relationship of my dreams, where we have an incredible, passionate, intimate relationship that's also healthy and stable, and incredibly sexy. And these are the things I want for you. So that's why we're here.
That's why we're here. Yeah, I will second that. Destin and I are both in really fantastic, loving, sexy relationships. Mm-hmm. So hallelujah for that. So tonight we are going to go into gratifying women, creating
sexual joy.
Sorry. I know what I'm about to say, I swear. Gratifying women, creating sexual trust.
We said it because this is. Triambika mentioned earlier that through our work together, we're covering these three areas: deep masculine empowerment, sexual self-mastery, and understanding and gratifying women. This is part of our Gratifying Women series, and the first of what Triambika and I are leading together, focused particularly on creating sexual trust.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so we have this plan to deliver more of the Gratifying Women series to you, where we'll be focusing on different aspects, because obviously Gratifying Women is a very full-fledged, I mean, you could have a whole university just on that. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is one aspect, and, you know, tonight what we intend to deliver is some key formulas for you to work with. And they may not be what you think. So where these insights are meant to, you know, have you create more sexual trust in your relationship, a lot of this is going to be about you, about the men, really how you're showing up, where your focus is, where your attention is. So we want to let you know that in advance. And we'll also, of course, be bringing in some components around women and their desire and what really turns them on. And then, of course, at the end of our talk, we're going to give you an opportunity to gain further support and implement everything that you're about to learn. So that's coming later. All right.
Are we in here?
All right. I think we're ready to go into our...
So we want to start out with our first major strategy we want to speak about with you. Again, if the focal point really is around creating sexual trust, first of all, like with sexual trust, when sexual trust is gained, she lets go like never before. She opens like never before. She surrenders to you like never before. With that, more and more powerful orgasms are possible for her. There tends to be more and better sex, greater variety, and it tends to create a much deeper confidence in you as a man, in knowing your abilities to please and take this woman places that she's never been to before. So the first strategy really comes down to what we're calling personal integrity, or really, how are you showing up as a man? How does she feel about you as a man? Oftentimes we like to compartmentalize sex, as if we have the rest of our lives and then we're horny, okay, now we're going to bring the focus to sex. But the truth is, how this woman is experiencing you throughout the day has a huge impact on the degree to which she trusts you and trusts you sexually. So how are you showing up in the world? What is your relationship to your integrity? Now here we're going to define integrity as saying what you'll do and doing what you say, and cleaning up anything that isn't that. The thing about integrity is that it's not about being in integrity 100% of the time. It's being absolutely committed that if you find yourself out of integrity, to being absolutely committed to doing whatever it takes to get yourself back into integrity, to clean it up, to fix the mess. These types of things matter. They have an impact. And when she notices you being this integrous man in this way, you'll see this part of her just let go. This part of her relaxes. And that ends up showing itself in all aspects of the relationship, including sexually. Include this part of her that may otherwise be on guard or feeling like it needs to be holding, just doesn't. It just lets go. And related to that, when we're speaking about how does she feel about you as a man, there's that question of like, how do you show your respect of her? one thing I like to say is, do you expect her obedience, or do you truly inspire her desire? You truly inspire her desire. You know, there are ways in which you can show up as a man throughout your day that will start to create that tingle in her body. Please, Triambika, you're a woman.
I'm listening and feeling it all as you're saying it. You know, when we were working with this, we wanted to really think of a sexier title than personal integrity for this particular strategy. And you know, when later I thought about it, it's like, what's more sexy than integrity? I mean, really, like you can't give it a sexier word. When a woman hears that, when she sees and experiences integrity from you, there's something like Justin is saying. It's like there's something that relaxes in her, that brings her in her ease. You know, when it's like the problem is that a lot of men will say what they want a woman, what they think a woman wants to hear. They're going to tell her what they think she wants to hear. They're going to agree to things, even though they don't really mean that they really want to agree to that. They say that they'll do something, or that they say that they're committed to something, or and however it turns out, it could be in a really passing way, and you think that it doesn't matter. And we're talking about life in general, not just in the bedroom, and also in the bedroom. But when you think about, you know, if you have a woman in your life, whether she's a girlfriend or a wife, or you know, a sexual partner for that matter, there's things that you're saying to one another all the time, and if you aren't keeping your word, like really, truly being a man of your word, it creates a dissonance in her that she may not be thinking about in the moment. She may not be processing it, but something in her knows that there's a way where she can't trust you, and she can't totally rely on you to follow through on what you've committed to. And that goes for a commitment that you spoke out loud about yourself. Like if you committed to going to the gym, for example, and then you didn't do it, you know, it's like she sees that and feels that, and it reflects on her as a feeling of mistrust. Let alone you.
It's those little things as well, like you know, I'm gonna fix the bathroom sink, or unclog the shower, and then months pass by, and again, like I think that oftentimes as men we can easily compartmentalize these things, like that's completely separate, you know, and just want to look at it as once we're in bed together, once the clothes come off, yeah, that this is what matters. But the truth is, every friggin' moment matters, and I don't just I'm not just saying this from like you know, like this kind of way. It's more of test it and notice the difference. It has an impact, and every man that I know wants to feel his woman in her turn on more. This is one of the ground level pieces.
Ground level, yeah, exactly. You know, it may not be what you think or expect, but believe me, believe us, this is the key right here. Say what you'll do and do what you say. That's the solution. And in every case, continue to.
So we
continue
want to do something to work
go ahead.
Here. And this is really, you know, we'll call this an action item of under-committing and over-delivering. And so the next time you find yourself, well, start with, put simply, stop saying what you think other people want to hear, whether it's your woman or anyone in life. You know, what you do, how you do anything is how you do everything. So any place that you're doing that, it's a habit that you're creating and a habit you're reinforcing. And so likewise, by shifting that, by really checking in and speaking from your place of truth, in all areas of your life will also shift into doing so in you know, with the ladies in your life. So pause before you make a commitment to anything. This next time. Focus on this one next time. The next time you find yourself about to make a promise or a commitment to something, pause for a moment. Notice. Reflect. Wait, what am I about to say? What am I committing to? Am I really committing to that? And then, like, really take it seriously. And then, honestly, I'd actually encourage you to undercommit, to think about like what you feel you can commit to, and then commit a little bit less than that, and then over-deliver.
Exactly.
Show up and deliver more than the other person was expecting. And believe me, this is going to affect your sex life. It's going to affect every area of your life, because unfortunately today it is too rare. But the beautiful thing about being too rare is that the men who do show up in this way, it is noticed. It is noticed.
Definitely, definitely. So take note of that action item that Dustin just shared. I'm going to share with you another little action item for a bit of the sexy quality here in terms of saying what you'll do and doing what you'll say. Talk about having integrity. Go ahead and say what you want to do to her and for her. Giving her a massage, touching her, licking her, that you're going to please her or give to her later in the day, and then do that. Stick to your word and give her all of that. And believe me, the saying that you'll do that will turn her on so much that by the time you do it, she will be so ready for it.
And here's another piece of that, though, is that by creating that habit and that pattern where you tell her what you're going to do to her, and then you end up doing it to her, she's learning that she can fully trust in your word. And that is what's going to allow you to tell her at 9 a.m. before you're heading off to work or what have you, that tonight when I get home, first thing I'm going to do is rip off your clothing, bend you over the kitchen counter, and what have you. She knows you mean it. She knows you're going to, because you have trained her to know that you are a man of your word. So she's got all the next 8, 9, 10 hours to be thinking about, fantasizing about, imagining, getting turned on and wet about the fact that she knows what's coming. She is.
It's exciting just to think about.
Okay, I'll start the next part. So, which is good, because I call this the magic formula, and this is something I bring into my work quite a bit. And so we're getting into our second strategy here. This is a 2-part strategy, and
like for two different types of men, you could say.
Yeah. The magic formula. This magic formula is what will have will turn on a woman like nothing else. Will allow a woman to relax, surrender, let go, trustfully in you, desire you, and crave you sexually. Allow the fullness of her feminine sexuality and sexual desire to just get unleashed. Watch out. And that magic formula is quite simple, really. It's about making her feel both safe and turned on at the same time. Safe and turned on at the same time. Most men tend to be really focused on one or the other. They're either focused on how to get in her pants and tend to rush things along and
kind of override the subtlety. They the rushing, kind of overriding the subtleties, overriding the possibility of sensuality, and that's actually part 2, which we're about to get to. And then the other side is the going too slow.
Yeah, this is the guy who often finds himself in the quote-unquote friend zone, is so concerned about making sure that she feels safe, or that he doesn't want to make her feel uncomfortable.
Exactly.
That
the other way it could look is like they could be in a sexual relationship or in a committed relationship, and the sexual relationship becomes very neutralized, like almost like you become good buddies even though you're in relationship together. This is something that happens in that situation as well.
Mm-hmm. The sexual act itself becomes too yin. You could say there's not enough sexual tension to sustain attraction and turn on. So we're going to start on this side. The men who, just hearing that, which one tends to be more you. So if you're the type of man who tends to play it overly safe, wanting to make sure she feels safe, but then want to have a hard time actually turning her on, bringing things into a more sexual place, getting that heat going between the two of you. A core piece of your growth is rooted in really learning to own your desire. Really own your desire. Getting comfortable with your desire. And as part of that, it's playing with desire without attachment. So you can fully claim your desire, fully express your desire. All I want to do is take you home and have sex with you right now. That's owning it, it's claiming it, it's communicating it. And it can also be without attachment. I know what I want. I also know that you're freely at choice. This can happen. This may not happen. At all times, I want to make sure. I want to make sure that she knows that she can do whatever she feels like doing. I'm just putting forward an offer that sounds so inviting. That she can feel my desire. Women love to feel desired when they feel safe.
Yeah. One of the things that I run into a lot in my practice with my clients is, I'm just thinking of an example right now. One of my clients, Greg, who tends to go on dates and just doesn't introduce that level of desire, is not able to communicate that, and so while he may be dating frequently, none of his dates are going into the next level. He's not able to move towards a deeper sexual connection with any of these women as much as he would like to, because he's not owning the desire, right? He's not totally claiming it the way that Dustin's talking about. And so that's one important piece, especially for you men who feel like you fall into that category, is to fully claim it. Just like, yes, it's sexy, it's hot, we want to know that you want us.
Yeah, I've worked with many men who have said things to me along the lines of, well, I don't want her to think that I want to have sex with her. I'm like, why? Do you want to have sex with her? Well, yeah, but then then you need to let her feel that.
Yeah. The other piece I want to speak to, because the men who are in relationship and finding themselves in a sort of sexually neutralized arrangement, it's the same thing. Even if you have a sexual partner, even if you are in a relationship, if it's not happening, if it's not going on there the way that you'd like, bring your desire. Let her know. Claim it. Once again, it's no different whether you have a partner or not. It's really about owning it and knowing that your sexual desire is something that is a part of what makes you a man. It's your masculinity in a very quintessential way. And when a woman feels your masculinity, she naturally gets to drop into her feminine, and this allows her to feel safer, allows her to open more and soften and just say yes to you because you're holding it. You're holding your end of the bargain, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. And I just want, I'm noticing various questions come up through the chat window. We will be addressing more of your questions later in the webinar. Please keep them coming and keep the conversation going as well.
So action item. Yeah. One action item here for you more yin men, if you will, or men who find themselves in this kind of taking it too slow or too soft or not being bold enough in that way. I really recommend dropping into your testicles and your genitals. Like just drop in and anchor there. And let your whole genitalia be an anchor for you. When you have a desire to be with a woman, remember this part of your body and go ahead and just like pulsate the muscles down there and clench and release. And you know, when I work with people, I go way deep into this. I know that Destin does too, and then the specifics on how to work in that musculature. But for now, just like pulsate the muscles deep in your genitals and in your pelvic floor, and remind yourself, anchor yourself as a man, right? Affirm yourself as a sexual being, and remember that this is part of who you are, and that this is holy, wonderful, sacred energy that we enjoy, and we want you to bring it.
What if you're already if you're already focused on her feeling safe and comfortable, and then your desire is a gift. Your desire is a gift. Bring her this gift.
Yeah, yeah.
So this brings us to part two. So part two is just to focus on the other man, the man who is just focused on getting that pussy, where that safety isn't there. He's just trying to figure out how to, get her pants off. Things just, you're moving things along too fast. And as Triambika was saying earlier, not necessarily taking the time to pay attention to her whole body, the whole of who she is. Yeah,
yeah, and one of the issues with this particular approach is, like, there's nothing wrong with wanting to get that pussy. Like there's nothing wrong that you want that, right? Let's just get that clear. There's no shame, no judgment in wanting that. We just told you to want that. Mm-hmm. It's oftentimes the problem is that your desire, as I was saying earlier, will tend to sometimes override the subtleties, override that she may be needing something different from you in order to bring her to the place of wanting you back, right? So you won't get the response that you want from your woman by moving too quickly, right? If she wants to hug you or kiss you and just enjoy a hug and a kiss, and you suddenly turn that into, oh, this must mean you want sex, then that's moving too fast, right? Assuming that a hug and a kiss is sex. And believe me, this happens so much. I speak to so many couples where this is an issue. So that's what the problem looks like out there in real life, is that assumption.
Exactly. So what I find happens a lot with men is that, the man and the woman want the same thing ultimately. They're both wanting a sexual experience with one another. They just want it at different paces to get there. And as a man, if you learn to feel into and follow her pace more, you are going to get what you want way more often. I've heard from women so many times how, like, she wanted to go there, just he was skipping along so fast that she just shut down, and then it was just like no, and it was done. Sometimes never seeing the man again. Whereas if he had just taken things a little bit slower, he would have gotten exactly what he wanted. Exactly what he wanted.
So the solution here is slow the fuck down. Like slow down, like 3 or 4 or 10 times slower than you think that you're supposed to. That slowing down where you can feel your body breathing and moving towards her, where you can calculate every step of your actions, that kind of slowing down, right? Where in your experience and exploration of her, you explore not just the parts that count, so to speak, right? Not just her breast and her yoni, but more so all other parts that are undiscovered, places that you've never explored. Inside of her elbows and the backs of her knees, her ankles, her thighs, like really explore so many areas. And women can complain about this constantly, is that he never touches me, he doesn't touch the rest of my body.
Grab the tits, grab the pussy, take it in. But then going that approach, it's like he's going that approach because he's hungry for it. There's that deep hunger, often feeling of starvation, and needing to get in that pussy. But the very actions of going about it that way are the things that keep it away. So you remain in a place of starvation.
Yeah. Think about creating more soulful moments. So in this process of learning to slow down, think about, what would a soulful moment feel like and look like with this woman? What would you need to do? What would you need to say? How would you be in order for that essence of soul to come through your touch and your gaze and your connection?
Another thing I like to say around this is that part of masculine sexuality is leading the sexual experience, and that's part of what allows her to relax, trust, and surrender as well, is your ability to lead the experience. But you can't truly lead if you've lost the connection. So connecting to her pace and leading from there. And if you feel that you've lost her, reconnect and go from there. And particularly if that level of slowing down that we're speaking of isn't your usual way of doing things, just again, focus on this next sexual experience that you have. And slow way the fuck down. As slow as you think we mean, for this next experience, make it even slower than that. Play a game of just to stretch yourself. Play the game of literally how slow can you go.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't mean that you always have to go do things as the slowest possible pace, but if that's not what you're used to, and therefore often not what she's used to with you, swing that pendulum. Push it as far to the slow side as you can to expand your range, so that you now have more choice and to play with along that pendulum.
Exactly. So the next time that you go to kiss and hug a woman that you are intimate with, explore just kissing her. Like just kissing her or just hugging her. And don't make any assumptions that that's going to lead to anything. When you kiss her and you really go into that sort of that deep French kiss, that deep makeout, something happens, right? You actually, both genders will produce testosterone when tongues intertwine and saliva gets produced. And that testosterone produces turn-on. So you just kissing her without any expectation of her having to give something to you, you might actually just be producing the natural turn on in her that will allow her to want you later on. Just remember that. And just as Destin is saying, slowing way, way down in your lovemaking, right? This is really good. In your lovemaking, rather than just entering in her because you think it's time to enter, try just the tip. Like just the tip, nothing more. Just the tip of your penis inside her vagina, and hold it there. And let her move and let her show you the pace that she wants to go as she invites you in her body. This is where we get really sensual, really erotic. This is a truly gratified woman when you slow down to that level.
Too often, we'll get more into this in a future webinar, but too often women aren't really given the chance to truly feel their desire. They're spending, they're dealing with this sexual force coming at them with such intensity that can override their feeling of their own desire. So it's either I have to keep this force out, or maybe I'll let the force in. But that's different from really giving her the opportunity to truly feel and appreciate, experience her own desire. It's such a gift in itself. And that's one of the powerful things that level of slowing down can bring. It is bringing her to the place where she's wanting to speed things up, where she's wanting to go faster than you are.
Yeah. Awesome. So that's our turned on and safe. Turned on, safe and turned on strategy. For both. For the man who's slowing a little too much and for the man who's moving fast a little too much.
Which brings us to our third strategy. Which, if we were to break this down to just 2 words, it's simply pay attention.
Pay attention.
Pay attention. Tune in. Go. Just start us off here, Trey.
So this is I'm slowing down here so that I can really feel this piece, because it takes slowing down internally for all of us to be able to pay attention at this level. As a woman and as the feminine, you know, she radiates when she's being witnessed, when she's being seen, right? When she knows that you are truly paying attention. This is where she opens up, she blossoms, her whole being comes alive. And what happens is that a lot of times, often, there's a totally missed opportunity to really know what's going on for her in her desire, in her needs, in her nuances. There's a total missed opportunity, especially during sex, because we go straight for the gold, right? We're like, okay, we're getting this job done. We're gonna do some cunnilingus. We're gonna do some feeling up, and now we're gonna go inside. And she might even be displaying signs of wetness, which could be confusing. And so you're thinking, okay, well, I guess it's just time to go in. But what happens is that the problem is that you miss sometimes this piece around the subtlety of her body, of what her body's really saying. You're missing the pieces around the changes in her face, the color of her flesh, the arch in her back. All of these pieces go missed when you don't pay attention.
Women are in constant communication with you, even if they're not saying a word. Depending on what you're doing, as Triambaka was saying, her breathing changes, the color of her skin shifts, the musculature in her body, her back arching and shifting, her facial expressions, the sounds that she's making, her pussy tightening or relaxing. You can be so tuned in that you can notice these slightest changes. So tuned in that you are aware of each inhale and each exhale. Each time that suddenly she holds her breath, when it's speeding up or slowing down. All of these things are communications. And when you're, too often a woman will feel that she just needs to endure what's happening. Even when something's painful, she just deals with it, endures it. But this is where there's an opportunity for you. The first time that she feels something or contracts in your presence,
in any way,
yeah, and you respond immediately, she'll respond to that, to your shift, and let go and relax even further than where she was to start. This is where true sexual trust begins, based on here's a felt experience. Before she even had a chance to say something, you had already noticed and you had already adjusted. So she knows at that point that if something doesn't feel right to her, you're not going to just keep pushing your agenda. She feels you feeling her.
She feels you feeling her. She feels you feeling her. And how do you do that? You pay attention. You really pay attention. The subtleties, again, the changes in her face, the changes in her breath, the changes in her rhythm, her flesh, all these things that we're saying. And this, this is essential for a woman because we inherently are very detail-oriented, right? It's part of our makeup. We need to pay attention to details because it's part of our sort of core survival mechanism, right? Those details matter to us. When we feel, we don't even have to be thinking about it, but when we feel you feeling us, meaning that you're paying attention to the details about us, that allows that safety to come in. That allows that opening naturally. It's like, oh, he's got this. He's got this. And what's beautiful about that is that as her body begins to shift, especially if she's moving towards arousal, you're responding to that immediately. But even better is if she's shifting and contracting because something isn't feeling right, or she feels disconnected, or she's not emotionally feeling you there, right? You can feel her feeling you in that way.
So, presence, tuning in, paying attention. As men, we can be absolutely incredible at being single-focused. So what are you putting your focus on when it comes to her?
Yes. Use that miraculous quality that you have as a man to be able to single focus on anything you desire and put it on the subtleties. Put it on the nuances. And just notice and respond to what you're noticing. And then notice how she responds to you and how different that is.
So simply, again, in this next sexual experience that you have, just bring your attention to nuance and detail. What else is there to notice? What else is there to notice? What else?
I'm just thinking of a story that one of my clients shared with me that he was out on a date and a woman kept touching him. She kept touching his arms and she kept putting her hands on him, and he said he didn't know what that meant. And I said, well, did you touch her back? And he said no. And so notice that she's touching you because she probably wants and desires touch from you. Right. That's a big broad stroke, right? Out in public where, that's happening. And then there's all the subtle strokes, the finer point strokes that happen when you are in a more intimate setting. Right. I like to instruct my men to pay attention to the details. Again, in the broad strokes, how she looks today, her beauty, her outfit, her makeup, her hair, those broad strokes, right? Say something. Observe that. Respond to how it makes you feel when she dresses that way, those types of things. And let her know verbally and physically. And then the sort of the finer strokes, like a paintbrush. Those finer strokes are in that very subtle, energetic way in which she is showing up, she's responding to you. Consider the complexity that a woman is emotionally, right? So many things run through us. Our mind races in 100 different directions at one time, and any one thing could have caused a trigger that is having her shut down, and it may or may not have anything to do with you. But if you're there and you notice that and you respond to that, it's like, he noticed. He noticed that something's wrong. And just you noticing that will open her and bring her back.
Yeah. Extra bonus points, and actually a very important part in that is not taking it personally. Remaining solid in yourself in that process. That allowing her to she can have whatever that experience is that she's having. You can respond to it and shift to make it to help her reopen. So oftentimes, if she's starting to contract, for example, it probably whether her body suddenly tensed, her breathing suddenly stopped in that way. There's a good chance that something suddenly felt uncomfortable or even painful, and so don't keep doing what you're doing. Shift in some way. Pause or slow down, change your angle. You don't need to start apologizing profusely. In fact, don't. But just make a shift and continue to pay attention.
Great. If you all have questions that are coming up around any of this, do type them in, because we will have a chance to answer hopefully all of them, but at least some of them.
Yeah. Did you have anything else you wanted to add on this paying attention component?
Well, just to do a really quick review of, the first piece here is that personal integrity, and there is almost like an order to this, if you will, is that personal integrity in yourself. Do what you say what you do. Undercommit, over-deliver. Next is the magic formula, safe and turned on. Both of those be present at one time.
Which one do you tend to err towards and work on really flexing your ability to do more of the other?
Right. Exactly. If you're moving too slow, then let your desire be known and really accept it and own it. And if you tend to move too fast, and how do you know you're moving too fast? You've probably gotten a complaint at some stage. I'm sure some woman has pushed you away or said no and this is not the time and that type of thing. So you'll know that from that kind of cue. Then slow down, and how deliciously juicy and wonderful it is to experience slow sex. It's like nothing else. You'll enjoy it.
That's a really good point. I think that sometimes men can get into this idea that if they're slowing down, they're doing it for her. But the truth is, dude, if you really allow yourself and you really allow yourself to truly explore the slowing down, there is so much pleasure that you can find in it. It's like a whole new worlds that can be discovered through that slowing down, and the nuances that you can discover from that slow down place that you can discover for you, not just for her.
Exactly, which brings us to that third strategy of paying attention, that when you are slowing down and you are making love in that way, what you're able to pay attention to of what's happening inside of her body the changes happening inside of her vagina, how that affects your penis, and all, I mean, those subtleties and paying attention at that level is divine. I highly recommend it. And so that was our third piece there, is paying attention.
Mm.
All right.
So what, by being on this webinar, you know, you're now at this point where you may have gathered some great information, hopefully, and that you may or may not use towards truly creating sexual trust in your relationships and your sex. However, like truly gratifying women, creating sexual trust in this way and the results you desire are technically still in limbo. Having information isn't really enough.
Yeah, yeah. It's like without fully integrating this, you will likely continue to struggle with frustrations and confusion about how to turn her on. You may not feel fully embodied in your power as a man, and you definitely won't be satisfying your woman. But
so if you do nothing else after today, well, I know how easy it can be to do nothing with the info that you learn. Maybe walk away with a couple of gems, but essentially if it doesn't get put into action, life pretty much stays the same. Even feeling discouraged, perhaps feeling inadequate about not giving your woman what she really needs. And so this is why we've created what I call the embodied man's path. We know the power that comes with being a part of a community of men who are all focused on the same journey together. Being the best man that you can possibly be for yourself, for women, for the world. Being in community while receiving expert support over a period of time. That aspect, support over a period of time in community, this is how deep integration really occurs.
Yeah, this is how creating sexual trust becomes real for you. You know, when that's happening in your life, that integration, the integration of sexual trust and all the other components of sexual self-mastery and self-empowerment as a man, it's like you clear years of self-doubt and you grow in your confidence, not just in the bedroom, but also in your life, in your career, in your work, with your friendships, your family, and this easily brings really deep, deep satisfaction to the women in your life and to yourself. So you get to have better sex, more sex, you know, having her not only surrender to you, but to feel an overwhelming desire for you, and she'll just, you know, just like I know how it is for me, like, you know, being more willing and ready to try new things, to experience more, obviously to have more powerful orgasms, and just knowing that you are the best lover that she's ever had. And that's what there is to gain, in short.
Mm-hmm. So we've had in total, we had just over 300 people register for this webinar. You know, a sizable portion of you are here with us tonight. Speaking of, we've been marking your questions on here. In just a few minutes, we're going to be going into having a Q&A section and start really responding to those questions. With these, you know, over 300 of you in total, we have something that we want to be able to do to help further support you in this whole integration process. So what Triambika and I have done is we've created a bunch of spots in our calendars over the next 2 to 3 weeks for a limited number of these, what we're calling Sexuality Breakthru Sessions, that we want to offer to you as our gift to you. We know that it takes a lot to come to something like this, and that there's something in you that's burning for more, that's either here because something's not quite working the way that you want it to be working, or you simply want more. And so clearly we're not going to be able to do this for all 300 something of you, but we want to be able to do it for as many of you as we can. So we do have a limited number of these set aside for you to help you really get clear on what it is you really want in these areas of your masculinity, your sexuality, your relationships with women, and what's gotten in the way and why you don't have that already. And through that, whether you'd really be a fit for this community we've gathered.
Yeah, and whether this program is right for you or not at this time, you will leave this session no matter what's decided at the end of the breakthrough session. My aim, our aim is on this call is to have you walk away with a stronger connection to yourself, greater clarity, and really knowing what it is that you want in this area of sex, of women, of relationship, and just really knowing how to move forward.
Yeah, yeah. And so we're enrolling now over the next few weeks for a new group that's starting in January, so that you can make 2016 really be the year where you claim your masculine sexual power like never before.
So in this one-on-one session, once again, you know, you're going to walk away with so much. Generally, in these sessions, the people that I work with on these sessions are often in gratitude because of the clarity that gets to come from really getting clear on what you want, having a clear sense of what's been getting in the way and working around that, and then also, you know, understanding a clear plan on how to have what it is that you want and what that would look like, what it would feel like, you know, creating your 2016 right there on the call with us. And so this is our gift to you. Again, we have a limited amount of spots available, but we certainly encourage you to take advantage of that. Right now, as a matter of fact, you can put that, you can go ahead and use the link that should be showing up in the chat box. It should be showing up in the chat box. I'm not sure if it is.
There it is. Yes, it is.
All right, great. So right there, go ahead and use this application to let us know more about who you are. We really aim to serve you on this call and have you walk away with something awesome. This is our gift to you.
And we've designed this application so that, like, really take some time to fill it out. We've designed it so that the very process of filling it out should be enlightening for you. You know, should help you get clearer on some things, and it'll also, of course, help us know better how to serve you powerfully and make the best use of our time together as we dive into this.
Yes. So we work as a team, and so you'll have the opportunity to also schedule with either one of us, and we're both just here, really ready to serve you.
Yeah. Yeah. So clearly the value of these sessions for your life can be enormous, particularly if you're in a pain point right now, or even if you're just wanting more. I mean, bouncing up to the next level. I mean, yeah, the value is enormous. The dollar value, of course, would be the dollar value of a session like this would be $475. But again, because you're here with us tonight, it's our gift to you. It's we want to put together the right community moving forward, and want to make sure that it is the right men coming together. So this is how we're doing it. This is how we're spending the end of our 2015 to help make sure that as many of you as possible can have a ridiculously amazing 2016. Having the sex life you desire, becoming the evolved lover that you and she really crave.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So once again, you know, with the people that are here tonight and the replay that's going to go out tomorrow morning for all the people that signed up, we have a very limited amount of slots. So, you know, with the holidays coming up, so don't leave here a maybe.
Yeah, don't leave here a maybe.
Don't leave here a hell yes or hell no right now. The link is right there on your screen, and just go ahead and click on it, and it's going to take you to the application. Fill it out tonight and schedule tonight. And we're going to be really looking forward to speaking to you in the coming weeks.
Yeah, yeah. So you'll see that let's see. There's a link now at the top. I just brought us back to this chat windows, start going through some Q&As, going into the questions that are in here. Michael put in, although I'm in EMP, yes, he's a member of our Embodied Man's Path already. He said, I can vouch for its value beyond being able to gaze at beautiful people who are chomping at the bit to help you improve your life. Yeah, thank you, Michael. Trey, why don't you pick one of these questions to get us started?
Well, Mark is asking me a question. How would I define femininity in one sentence? I mean, I could be a smartass and say the essence of being feminine. I would say that there is a essence of when I think of femininity within me, I am feeling my power, my true power. And when I think of the feminine, even inside of a man, I also feel a form of his power. How that feminine power gets displayed in the world is through a connection to our emotional body. And when I'm in connection with my emotional body, her needs and her wants and what she values, that feminine is fully alive in me. That's one way that I would describe the feminine. You said one sentence, and I've probably already said like 5, and I probably would need to say like 20 more to really give it, justice. But I think I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay, Hugh. My wife has lost her libido, and it's hard to talk to her about. She seems to want to sleep. However, I guess I need to learn for when I do have an opportunity. Okay, I'm going to say some things on this because, Hugh, I know that you've been bouncing around my little universe for, I don't know, at least 2 years now. And I know this story from you, from 2 years of hearing different versions of the story. And however, I guess I need to learn for when I do have an opportunity is already going about it the wrong way. If you continue to just continue doing what you're doing, waiting for something to suddenly change, you're going to be waiting a really long time. You've already been waiting a really long time. There's something going on. I have some ideas based on, I have to truncate this given our circumstances here, but I get the sense, all in all, that on that safe and turned on piece, you err on the turn on side, the trying to get in her pants side. That you've been in scarcity with sex with your wife for so long that there's such a hunger, there's such a want for it that she is experiencing. Her experience of you or with you is needing to be on the defense with you. And so that is a default pattern that has arisen in your relationship, in your marriage, where it never happens because she has fallen into a constant, her default state is no, and your default state is please, yes, how about now? And so it reinforces and reinforces and reinforces. So even though there's no sex happening, the first step really is in creating more of that safety, that allowing for her to be as she is, where you can still let her still be in your desire, still own your desire, still like where she knows that you want, and still allow the spaciousness for everything in its right time. And what can you be doing on a day-by-day basis, hitting these other points with how you're showing up as a man, the integrity in which you're showing up with, the ways in which you're engaging with her, telling her the things that you're going to do and then following up on them, the way that you're looking at her, the kiss just for the sake of the kiss without trying to escalate or make it go anywhere else. She needs to be able to let that guard down. Anyway, there's tons more given the pieces that I've picked up over time. But I'm going to leave that there for now.
I mean, I don't know Hugh, but I would imagine that this is a really big Pandora's box, being that you're in a committed relationship where, there's no sex, and there's often, multiple reasons for that. I second everything that Dustin said, and in addition to that, I would say that there probably needs to be a really good, strong conversation here about, and for you to figure out also for yourself, what does sex mean to you? Like, what is that? What does that, when you get to have sex, what does that open up for you? When you get to make love to your wife, what does that create space for in your relationship with her? Right? And I know for a fact the difference that it makes to make love after not having made love for a long time. Right? And if you can come from that place and communicate with her, like the difference that it would make in your relating, in your relationship, this is something that hopefully she'll be able to hear and see it not just as like a physical need, but an emotional need, which is something that she, being a woman, will understand. So hopefully that helps.
Emmerich, it's interesting to juxtapose paying attention to allowing it to flow. In other words, being in the body and in the mind as well. Any thoughts on that as part of strategy 3? Paying attention and allowing it to flow are not necessarily juxtaposed. They're not in conflict with one another. You paying attention is not about being in the mind. You're noticing, which actually the most powerful place to be in that paying attention and noticing place is that place of presence, is in the place of more stillness of the mind, where the mind is more quiet, and instead your focus is not on these thoughts in here, but truly on all those different subtleties. So it's not, okay, so if I'm seeing her do this, what am I going to do? Yeah, but when you're in that full presence and something is, you're seeing some sort of shift in, trusting that you will know what to do. And regardless of whether that is the quote-unquote right thing or not, you're paying attention. So you're watching and feeling how she's responding moment to moment. And that is indicating to you whether, how to continue your touch.
Yeah. Dustin, I'd love for you to give the metaphor of the contact juggling.
So this is not my normal ball. This is my nephew's. But I've been playing with these like crystal balls in contact juggling for, I don't know, 10 years. I actually don't even do it a whole lot anymore. But what I learned with playing with this ball in festival culture over the years was how to really let everything else in the world disappear and bring all of my focus to this ball. In this case, this ball is this woman, this maybe naked woman laying before you. Everything else disappears, and all that exists is me and this ball. And from that place, I have to pay, sitting as I am, it's a little bit hard for me to move in this way, but the slightest movements of the tiny musculature in my hands causes the ball to move in different ways. The slightest movement of your fingers inside of her causes her to respond in a particular way. And really being fully tuned into, as I move like this, how is her body responding? As I shift my fingers over here, how is she responding? As I glide my cheek across her nipple, how is she responding? And you don't need to be like in your mind asking these questions. Just notice. And with nothing else existing except for you and her, being in this constant interplay between me and the ball, between you and this woman before you, automatically shifting and adjusting depending on how the ball is rolling across your hands.
And I just want to keep saying, every time you say, when nothing else exists and you're in that total presence, that's flow. That is flow. Thanks for that. Good question, Emmerich. Okay, so we have about 10 minutes left. So, Angela, how can I get my 55-year-old man to show he desires me? I'm 52 and energetically, sexually. I'm guessing that you mean that you are sexually energetic
Yeah.
at 52 and he's 55, and you want him to show you that he desires you. If I'm getting the question correct, right?
Yeah.
Well, so I think I'd be curious to know a little bit more about what happens there if there is desire on his part. One thing I will say, without knowing you or your man, is that he's 55, and at this stage of his life, he has a different set of needs, probably, than he did earlier in his life. And so what brings on desire for him today may be very different from what brought on desire at another time. If things have changed in his body, like such as testosterone has dropped, then what you can be sure of is that he likely will feel more engaged and turned on by deeper intimacy, sort of like those deep, long talks and gazing in the eyes, and the sort of the build-up, the slower build-up, loving, intimate connection that supports oxytocin, the bonding hormone. When oxytocin is produced in a man whose testosterone has lowered, this brings on sort of that testosterone effect. So as men get older, they really require more of that loving, connected touch. And this goes for all of the older men who are listening now. You will experience yourself and your sexuality very different as you get older. And that's not a bad thing. Actually, the characteristics and traits that you bring on and the needs that you have as an older man are usually what most women are craving throughout their life from younger men. So that need and desire could very be to have more of that connected, touching, massaging, eye-gazing, deep intimacy, hugging, all of that, and see if giving more of that to him throughout the day and during an intimate act supports him to bring on his desire more.
So I want to, there's so many great questions coming in, and I want to keep moving through as well. It seems I don't allow myself to have the women I want, but lovingly settle for the women who want me. Any feelings on that? Yeah, quite simply, to join us with the Embodied Man's Path. I've seen this change around so many times for different men who have, this is not an uncommon thing for men to come into our program with. I view it as an aspect of really claiming your power, your own self-worth, and owning your desire. And that as you really drop into each of those, this isn't, I'm sorry I can't give you a quick and easy action step on this. There are processes that I take my men through that you'll find will be very, very helpful in this regards, but a big part of it is knowing that you are worthy, knowing that you're worthy of having what you want, and being willing to go for it, willing to take risk, and allowing things to happen as they happen. You said yourself, it seems I don't allow myself to have the women that I want. Ask yourself, like, what are the things that you do to stop yourself? And if you can delineate some of those things that you do that stops you, what could you be doing instead? If you were to release that, when we're letting go of something, it's helpful to bring our focus to what we're bringing on instead, whether it's a state of being or a particular set of behaviors. And bring your attention to what new ways of being or behaviors would allow you to have the woman that you want. Anyway, there's a lot more on that, which, again, we get into a lot more within the Embodied Man's Path itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm going to answer Sivan's question.
Oh, good. I like this one.
I've had trouble finding women who are into both tantric lovemaking and kinky BDSM. How do you convince someone in the lifestyle to try out another one? Well, first of all, stop trying to convince them. Like the key word to not do here is any convincing. Make it safe for them. Make it safe for them. And, you know, we all have egos, right? Every one of us. Men have ego, women have ego. And so there's this way in which when you know something so much more than we do and you want to convince me to go there, I might feel scared. I might feel like I don't know if I can relate to that. I'm not sure if I feel safe in that. And furthermore, I don't know that that really meets my needs. And so, you know, my ego might be saying, hey, I don't want to be seen as a novice or a beginner. I mean, there's a lot of layers to this. But making it safe for her by, I'm assuming you're speaking about a woman, but making it safe for your partner by including both of you in anything that you want to do. So, hey, I'm really curious about this particular practice that I read about. Would you be willing to read it with me and see if something that we can both try together? Like, bring yourself to your partner's level and connect where she's at or he's at, and then take them to the next level from there. Don't approach it from like you're so much higher and then you want to take her up to where you are.
I want to add a couple other things on here, because I know you're saying here, Sivan, I've had trouble finding women who are into both. Start out with owning both aspects within yourself, so that they're not just things that you're into, but things that like integrate them into who you are and how you're showing up. So from your first sexy interactions, bring in elements of your tantric lovemaking. Bring in elements of your kinky side. Depending on how you navigate things, it doesn't necessarily have to be super intense. You can just bring certain flavors of both in. But if instead you're just showing up with one side of this yourself because you're afraid of how she's going to respond, like maybe you met her in like a kink-oriented event and you're not sure how she's going to respond to the tantric stuff, so you're just meeting her on the kinky side and trying to figure out when to bring in the tantric side. Or maybe you first connected from this more like very tantric lovemaking space, and then you're trying to figure out how to bring in the kinky side. That's actually more difficult. If both of these are part of you, allow them both to express through you from the start, and it will naturally draw in and attract the women who will meet you there.
Excellent, excellent.
Okay. So
we have 2 minutes. I have one last question I'd like to get to, and I'll make it quick, and then we're going to close up for the night. This is a question for Marnie. Hi, Marnie. What do you each recommend for releasing intense body self-consciousness, feeling the need to look perfect as a woman? So obviously this is a question for a woman, and because I know that women are here, and I'd love to get a yes from the men if this is true. If a man is engaging with you sexually and he is into you, he is not looking at those body parts. He is not paying attention to those imperfections or the cellulite or the little rolls or whatever it is. It's just not what he's paying attention to. He's there because he wants to be with you. And if he got that far to be with you in the bedroom, then that's probably the last thing on his mind. Men are nowhere near as self-critical as women, so we're just totally opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to that. Most men, I should say. And so the best thing that you can do in terms of getting rid of body self-consciousness is just to know that that's not what he's thinking about. And I mean, if men can attest to this, then let us know. I mean, if a man probably knows your body shape and your size way before he gets into the bedroom, and he will assess whether he wants to be with that.
And the truth is, most men are wanting more sex than they have. When he is in bed with you, the major thing that he's thinking about is, fuck yeah, I get to have sex with this woman.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Exactly, exactly. And what makes a woman sexually attractive is her sexual energy.
Mm.
So it's it's like it is so not about your body. It is the energy that you are putting out. It's the energy that you're putting out when you want to get it on, and that is what it really brings the turn on. And so the body has so much less to do with the attraction in that moment.
And with that, we got to close this question and really want to first thank you all for taking the time to be here. To really want to deeply acknowledge you for really your commitment to yourself, your growth to being the best lover that you can be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to remind you again, this is at the very top of this chat window. It's in green. Sign up here, and there's a link that will open up a new page for filling out this application. It will take a good 15 minutes to fill it out, maybe a little more, maybe a little bit less. Take your time with it. Really if you allow yourself to give it, to put your energy into it, you're going to get more out of it, just like anything else in life. This alone will just help bring you clarity around what's going on and what direction you're really wanting to go. And through that, we'll spend an hour and 15 minutes with you, Triambika or myself. Please pick whichever one of us you feel most drawn to do that session with, and maybe we'll move forward and do more together with the Embodied Man's Path. Maybe not. Either way, you're going to get a lot of value out of it. And click that link now, and aside from that, just want to say thank you.
Yes, thank you. Get yourself signed up, and again, yeah, thank you so much for being here and giving this time to yourself and giving yourself a chance to go to the next level in your mastery as a man or even as a woman, whichever the case may be.
We live for this. Triambika and myself, I know that we're like, this is what lights us up and brings us joy in life, is to do things like this, to be able to share this knowledge with you, to like through the Embodied Man's Path, guide you through experiences, help create practices for you to have what you want in life. So claim your power, become an evolved lover, and create the life of your dreams. That's the tagline for the Embodied Man's Path. This is what I live. This is what I know Triambika lives as well, and this is what we want for you. So click this link now, join us, and we look forward to serving you more deeply.
Yeah, we're going to sign off now, but the chat will stay open, so please let us know if you liked the seminar.
Thank you.
Thank you.